So another thing with the heat, right, is we got all this stuff going on. One thing that we want to point out, obviously, with the fact that we have significant heat is it's kind of hazy as well, right? As we look at this shot, you can see the haze. Sandy in Hillsborough shared this great sunrise this morning and it really reflected off the lake nicely as well. And simply because we had some of those mid-level and low-level clouds as well, kind of a nice mixed sky. We saw a really nice start to the morning, despite the fact that it was 81 degrees, pretty significant here for most of us. And as a result of it starting off so warm, that was the key factor for us as we had a record warm low of 81 degrees this morning. You know, that was the warmest start we've ever had to this date. So that's a pretty significant difference. Our heat alerts into Thursday evening have extended as part of our heat advisory, and we look at that throughout the area. And one of the things that people often mention online is, well, why does this keep extending? Why is this going on? Is this as normal summer heat? What's the deal? Well, I want to point out a little something. I know that this doesn't make a lot of sense on the surface, but I just want to point out, it looks kind of like an EKG here. But when you look at what the reason that they look into this thing, and it's a combination of air temperature, humidity, sunshine, and this is a kind of a better measure of what this is. And this is what, usually in high school sports, outdoor activities, this is where we start out the morning, and when it gets up into here, that's when you really shouldn't be outside. And I'll show you this chart here. You can look at, this is what basically, the maximum practice time when you get into the red is 1 hour. As we look at this, is kind of a better measure of this, and I'll post this online for you a little bit later on. It kind of gives you an idea, and this is what the military uses. They used it when I was in Yuma. They don't go outside at all when it's that hot and that humid. It's the combination of the wet bulb globe temperature, and humidity is factored into that as well. As we look at our dew point in the low to mid 70s, when it's 75 to 80, that's significant. When it's 95 plus, that's when we look at that feels like reading. When we're talking about our temperatures in the low to mid 80s already at this hour, you combine the two, even at 83 degrees, and that's when it's significant. Now, that's why it feels like it's 85 to 90 already, but we don't have much relief, And keep in mind, our temperatures are measured outside of the sun. They're in the shade, and when you're in the sun, it's even hotter, and that's why it's a better measure, and that's why we see all these heat advisories and heat warnings and things like that. It's not just because we want to alarm you, it's because we want to prepare you for things they're going to catch up with you. And if we don't get this break from the rain, which we won't as it's off to the northwest. I do want to prepare you for a slight chance for rain in the afternoon. There's not much, but it may run you out of the pool for 15 to 30 minutes and, cool things off briefly. So I don't think that there's much, but 2 to 4 o'clock, not out of the question. Things should fizzle out. There's not going to be much movement to these if that happens. So it's something to pay attention to. 91 feels like 99 at 11. We're in the mid 90s by the afternoon with a southwest breeze at around 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's going to feel like it's about 105. That's why we remain in our weather impact alert as temps remain in the mid 90s. That high humidity leads to, heat exhaustion in the afternoon. Not only today, but tomorrow as well. And we talked about this yesterday on our 5 Plus stream where I said, 96 today versus 96 Thursday. Yeah, it's about the same to me, and that's why they've extended that. The only thing that we have not seen it extend to Friday simply is because we have cloud cover and a thunderstorm complex that's likely going to impact Kansas City and points into Kansas. But where does that cloud cover move and how thick it is? If it does move into our area, well, we may shave off 3, 4, 5 degrees. That gets rid of a heat advisory. We'll keep a close eye on that. But for the next 10 days, you're going to look at temperatures going from the mid 90s here. And like I said, paying attention to 90s here, those are our weather impact alert days. But, the difference is we don't have that. We just don't have that heat advisory extended into Friday. It is possible, though. I am optimistic the heat finally breaks into next week with a better chance of rain Sunday into Monday.